proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay. Now, you have a printout of the hearings by case on this particular case, and it looks like there was a hearing on September 10th, motion to withdraw and appoint new trial counsel that was continued, and then there was a hearing on September 24th. It doesn't really mention the motion that was heard, just that there was a hearing. And then finally there was a motion on, or a hearing on October 12th, 2010, motion for judgment of acquittal, or in the alternative, a new trial. Now, would you look at that and tell me if that's your understanding of the hearings that supposedly happened? And then I want you to tell me, were you aware of the hearing on the 24th?
We were given the wrong information from Mr. Mong and also the probation officer about the date of the hearing. Okay,
now did Mr. Mong send you an email that listed the date as
yes.
October 24th instead of?
Yes, which was yes, he did, and that would have been on a Sunday.
Okay. All right. But when you read it, you saw October 24th, and you just thought, well, it was October 24th.
Yeah, we would just go to court on October 24th. Give us a little bit more time. That's what I was thinking.
Now, on the day before the hearing, or actually 2 days before the September 22nd hearing, was there a series of emails that took place between the truancy officer for Juvenile and a probation officer, Matt Ammons, and your attorney and you?
Yes, there was.
Okay. And in that email, did it mention a hearing on the 24th, or?
On this particular one, this is the, let's see here, I want to make sure. Oh, on this particular one, yeah, Mr. Mon writes, Cynthia, please see below email I received from the prosecutor. I looked over my emails, and you did provide me with the information where he was attending school. And then he says, however, I do not have any documentation verifying that Britton is enrolled. Please bring those documents with you to court on Friday, October the 24th, 2010 at 1:30 p.m. so that we can provide such information to the court.
Okay, so that is where Carl is giving you the wrong date.
Yes.
Okay, now, did you know that Carl was asking for a new attorney at that time to be appointed?
I think that we were in agreement that he should leave the case immediately.
Okay, all right. Okay, now going forward to the let's go forward to the October 12th hearing. Was that before Judge Brown?
No, that was before Judge Flagel.
Judge Flagel. And was that the motion to withdraw? I mean, sorry, the motion to have a acquittal or a new trial?
Well, according to the court records, that was the purpose of that October the 12th court date. Yes, it says here, it says it would have been before Judge Bruce Brown, motion for judgment or acquittal, or the alternative, a new trial, October the 12th, 2010 at 9 a.m. But no, we did not that wasn't even an issue that was discussed. My son was arrested.
Okay, now, but that hearing was to have your motion for a new trial ruled on, and do you know Was that motion ever ruled on? Do you know what the status of your motion is? Could there have been a hearing that morning?
Well, we went to court that day. We went to court October the 12th because we knew that we were scheduled to be there. That was our regular date. We knew that we were scheduled to be there, but we did not realize that they were going to arrest my son with the charges of being what they said negligent or not appearing before the court dates.
Okay, and so because your son did not appear on a court date that you didn't know about, they arrested him.
Yes, and it was also at this time when Judge Flago informed my son and I that he was not going to accept anybody, well, us, being pro se in his court, and that he was not going to accept the appeal.
Okay, now you talk about had Carl Mong exited the case, and was there a new attorney on October 12th?
Not that particular day.
Okay, so Carl was still on the case?
Yes.
Okay. Now, so your son was arrested on the 12th because he didn't show up for a hearing, and could that hearing have been on the 24th, do you think?
Possibly.
Now, did Carl ever call you up and say, why weren't you guys at the hearing on the 24th? Or
no, Carl didn't call me. At that time, he knew we were very upset with the way he misled the jury against his own client.
But obviously, Judge Flagle was even more upset at your son for missing a hearing, and upset enough to throw your son in jail.
He was extremely angry. Yeah. Yes, he was.
So, would you say that Carl, as a court-appointed attorney, should have told you, should have reminded you about the hearing, and if you missed the hearing, should have asked you, did you have a flat tire? Were you sick? You didn't even know about the prior hearing when you walked in to Judge Flagle's courtroom on the 12th.
We just from the phone calls that we had received from Matt Ammons telling us that we had missed the court.
Okay, so you had a telephone call from Matt Ammons.
Yes, but he told us at that time that when we went out of town that weekend, he told us, and he left the message, and we even have this in the email. He told us that due to the fact that it was a motion for withdrawal of the attorney, that we didn't have to be there anyway.
Okay.
So that's what he had told us. We did not have to be there.
So a probation officer is basically giving you legal advice that you should have received from your attorney, who was still on the case and who still had responsibilities to your son.
That is correct.
Okay, now, so when was your when was your son arrested?
He was arrested at his scheduled hearing on October the 12th, 2010.
And how long was he basically incarcerated until he was released to your sister?
I believe that was either 4 days or to a week. And the judge at that time gave my sister and my brother-in-law temporary guardianship of my son until, he said, December the 13th, 2010.
Okay, so your son was incarcerated for 4 days, and then he's with your sister, who's serving as guardian. Now, by that time, had Carl Mung exited the case, and did you get a new court-appointed attorney, or did your son get a court-appointed attorney?
Yes, at our next court hearing following my son's incarceration, he had appointed Laura Shaneyfield.
Laurie Shanafield. Okay. Now, let's just kind of make sure that we know what the final status. At that point in time, when Laura Shanafield entered the case, was Carl Mung's original motion to ask for a new trial or ask for a acquittal, to the best of your knowledge, had Judge Flagle ruled on that?
It wasn't even a topic. It wasn't even discussed.
Okay, and
she was mainly concerned that the accuser had rights, visitation rights to the victim.
okay. When you say the accuser, you mean, but this was in, and we're not talking about the other case against your son yet.
His abuser and his accuser, his father, she
Okay.
was concerned that he had rights. So that was one of the things, but she also had wrote out a plan for the judge, and she handed it to the judge. She wanted to, my name wasn't even on it.
Okay, now let's back up a little bit and talk briefly about the second case. I don't want to really go
Okay.
into a whole lot of detail, but maybe you can tell me just real briefly, within just 30 or 45 seconds, the relationship that your son had with his father for the last 3 or 4 years, as far as any kind of physical abuse, things like that. Just stuff that would be easily documented by medical records or by police reports.
Yes, September the 24th, 2009, my sister and I called my son to check on him, to see how he was doing, like we do usually in evening times. We heard the phone just went off the hook, and we could hear like struggling, and the phone would hang up. Then I would call back again, and I could hear my son crying, and he was begging for help, and he was screaming that he wanted the phone, and he was saying, "Get off of me." We could hear a lot of noise. It sounded like something was breaking. We knew his father was beating him. The phone would cut off again, and then he tried to call us back, and then the phone would cut off again, and it was